Hello everyone and welcome back to my Emotional Intelligence series. Last time I discussed Goleman's model of emotional intelligence and I took you through the 4 different skill sets. And as I mentioned, it works in a bottom-top approach. So we have to start with improving our self-awareness, then we can move on to better self-management, and then once we're done with ourselves, we can move on to others. So understanding others and in turn managing our relationships and building networks and trust with others. So what I'd like to focus on today is self-management techniques. So again, self-management is all about drive, resilience, adaptability, motivation, self-motivation, because it's all about the self, and propelling forward, controlling and managing effectively your emotions. So how do we do that? Now, there are different tools and techniques. I'm going to share a specific tool with you today and other strategies that you might want to integrate within your daily practices to help you better manage your emotions. So we have 3 different levels of emotional management. It could be on the cognitive level, and the model that I'm going to be sharing with you today is more of a cognitive model. And then we have visual and emotional techniques that you could use. And finally, we have behavioral or real life examples. Now, I'd like to remind you that when we are emotionally hijacked, and if you're not sure what's amygdala hijack, go to my part 2 video in this series, and there I will take you through what happens to us when we are emotionally hijacked. So it's a terrible place to be. You don't want to be there, but there are tips and tricks we could use to avoid being hijacked. And we do know from neuroscience that we act absolutely stupid for 20 minutes. So during these 20 minutes, you would want to extract yourself from the situation, zip it completely and not say anything. At least that if you cannot leave the room or the place where this trigger happened, just keep quiet. Don't open your mouth because this is not working. Your rational brain shuts down. So you're putting yourself and everyone around you at risk. So you need to exercise caution and bring your heart rate down again to its regular 110 or 120 beat per minute, so that your adrenaline level drops again and your rational brain starts working. So this is what you need to be doing at that point. So let me share with you a cognitive technique that could help you achieve that. Now, this model is called the ABCD model. And let's see what happens when we get triggered. So something happened that really infuriated me, and I will start reacting in a certain way or behaving in a certain way. So we call the A the activating event, or in other words, the trigger, the emotional trigger that upset you or, kind of aggravated you. And then there is a B. The B is your belief system. Yeah, it could be set of values or norms or certain convictions that you have that would actually clash with what happened with this activating event. Now, C is the current emotion that is a result of the trigger. So it could be frustration, it could be anger, it could be sadness and anxiety, panic, whatever it is. But it is the overarching emotion that you are experiencing, right? Now, mind you, the activating event, is linked to B and not really C. The current emotion is caused by your belief system and not really a result or an outcome of the activating event. And that's very important to understand, because that would be the key to managing this emotion. So I am angry, not really because the customer came in and shouted at me. I am angry because my belief system says that people have to treat each other with respect, that this is rude, shouting is rude. So I am triggered because shouting is rude, not because that guy actually shouted. That's his business. You see here what I'm aiming at? So you have to make this differentiation between the activating the trigger and what actually drove this emotion, which is your belief system. Now, if you analyze the situation this way, you can actually go to the D. And the D here is disputing with your cognitive rational mind. So you go to the conscious mind and you start thinking, okay, this is not really about me, it's about them. And always remember, there is this quote that I'm very fond of, a Gandhi quote that says, nobody can take away your respect unless you give it to them. So your respect is intact, your integrity, your dignity is intact unless you allow somebody to hijack you. This is when we start behaving and saying and doing things that are totally out of our control, and then later on we start regretting what happens. So it's very important here to dispute with your rational mind. So if we go back to the example of this rude customer who shouted, and you started getting really upset, yeah? So your current emotion is frustration and anger because the person is disrespectful. Now go back to your belief system here. What you believe is respect is an important and valuable construct or a trait, and people should show it. However, if you dispute with your mind and say, well, customer comes first, and it's not about me. They lost it, and it happens that we lose, control of our emotions. My job is to manage this customer's impoliteness in an effective way so I can achieve better results. So dispute with your mind rather than get hijacked, and your urgency would be, okay, I'm gonna shout back and put them in their place. That becomes a conflict. And it's a lose-lose for everyone. So disputing is really important. So I hope that kind of model explains what happens and helps you to rationalize and kind of, allow your rational brain to overrule your limbic system that I talked about in my second video. Now, other techniques that could help here, rather than the cognitive one and disputing with the rational mind, is visual and emotional techniques. So breathing is the number one vehicle that could bring your heart rate down. If the heart rate goes down, cortisol and adrenaline also go down. Once that happens, your rational brain starts functioning again. So deep inhales and exhales, 10 rounds should do the trick. So when I say deep inhales and exhales, you have to be either standing or sitting with straight back and really elongate your breathing. So you need to take the breath in 3 gulps. We call it 3-part breath, all the way to the belly, to the diaphragm, and you feel that the diaphragm is actually pressing down. So you go. And really elongate your exhale as if you are sipping through a straw. And follow the journey of the breath. That engages your parasympathetic nervous system that is responsible for inducing relaxation in the body. Once you do that, you bring the heart rate down and you are more in control of the situation. Now, another technique is really to extract yourself and leave the situation if you can until the 20 critical minutes are over and you activate your rational brain, okay? Other techniques are visualization or imagery techniques, which is under the second category here. And this is about linking your calming down process to something like, okay, I see clear skies now. And that becomes an anchor that is attached to the calmness of your brain. It could be a Control-Alt-Delete. Okay, Control-Alt-Delete, and this is over. I've erased it. So it could be any anchor or any visualization, or go to your happy place, to a time and space where you feel safe, controlled, and calm. And visualize that in your mind's eye. Now that takes a lot of practice. It's not gonna happen just like that, but it's a process and it's a training to your brain. The brain is an instrument. Either you train it or it will take control of you completely. And it will be very hard for you after that to master it, right? Now, finally is real life practice. So start practicing silence. Don't say anything. When you're triggered, just control yourself. And you can use different things. Sometimes I use almonds. Sometimes I use counting, you know, coins, techniques like, you know, rubbing your thumb and index fingers together to kind of remind yourself that I'm being triggered now, but I'm in control. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. So these are all different techniques that you could use to calm yourself down before you say or do something that you would regret later under the amygdala hijack situation. I hope that was helpful for you, and do let me know if you have any questions or if you have any thoughts or insights regarding emotional intelligence. Thank you.